Hi, this is Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're listening to me on another Geek Fried podcast. Why? Yeah!
Thank you very much.
Coming to some ears near you. In a world so like this one, you couldn't tell the difference. Geeks and fanatics engage in eternal war for the perfect film pitch. Judged by their peers, and against all odds they cry, pitch, please.
Hello and welcome to Pitch Please, the podcast where a couple of geeks pitch their ideas for some films, TV shows. That's pretty much been it so far, but we hope to expand that in the future into books, games and cereal brands. Joining me today are the inimitable Michael Orvis.
What? Inimitable?
Yes, it means you can't be imitated.
Oh.
Although, I'll give it a bash.
Hello, I'm Mike Orvish and I speak like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That was weirdly sort of Sean Connery.
My name is Mike Orvish, and I speak like this.
Hello, the world. I can be copied. Just make a lot of wrong life decisions, grow your hair out a bit, and don't shave.
That's good advice. And also joining me today is the exorable Callum Tyndall.
That's not a word. The exorable.
Let me Google. Exorable. Capable of being moved by entreaty.
That's Callum. If I think of Callum,
guess.
I think that motherfucker can get moved by a treaty.
I stand by it.
I feel that's hopefully true of most people, but sure, I'll take it.
And
There you go, internet.
today-
Exorable.
Today, for a change, I thought we'd pitch something. And last week we rolled the dice, and we're going to be doing Batman Beyond this week. I know precious little about Batman beyond the fact that it is Batman.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My YouTube app has just decided that it's going to play something on the background. Let me go and turn that off. Sorry, lads.
You could have at least made it play the Batman Beyond theme song. This is staying in. All of this is gold.
This is the level of professionalism we have come to know in Pitch
It's no
Please.
wonder we have
planned.
like 4 listeners and they're all from Peru. This is why.
Sorry to that one guy that listens to us when he's... I've been told one guy listens to us when he's like walking to go... He has to like go and lock up a building and he listens to this podcast because it's about the, it's about the length of the walk to the building and from the building. So sorry that part of that walk's been ruined by another geek outlet that I don't want to talk about, which you probably heard anyway. Yeah. Whoops.
There is something I'd like to bring up though before we start.
Yeah.
What actually do we call our fans? You know, our legions of fans. Apart from calling them mum.
Whores.
What do we actually call them? Are they pitch pleasers? That doesn't sound good. Are they pitchers?
I need to pause you there. When you said apart from mum, you meant that as in our only fan was your mum, right?
Yeah.
Not as in you're talking to random fans and going,
Mummy.
oh, mummy.
Mummy. Oh, mummy.
It could be both.
What do you lot want to be called? Let's.
You can't call them peepeers, because that's not good.
No, that's a terrible one.
Pitchers doesn't work. Peppers. How does that
Peppers.
fit in?
My little chili peppers.
My little chili peppers.
Oh, that's
Yeah, okay.
nice. Oh, peppers. Yeah, peppers. Because PP. Pepper.
Yeah.
PP.
So yeah, thanks for joining us this week, Peppers.
Oh,
And like I
that's
say-
nice. Oh, I like that. That's wholesome. That's unlike anything that we do. This isn't bloody...
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
This
find a
isn't
way to
Anakin
remember.
Skywalker in blackface. This is nice.
This is the opposite of that.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. Oh, my little peppers. Right, my babbers. You're all looking girt-lush today. I love your outfit. Oh, this is brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that's been sorted out. Look, to the matter at hand, as I was saying, you guys are going to be doing Batman Beyond this week for me. Like I say, I know nothing about Batman Beyond the fact that it's Batman beyond.
Oh my god, you need to stop saying the word beyond now.
But beyond that, he doesn't know anything.
Beyond Batman, I don't know anything about it. So I'm looking for fun, interesting, amazing things. Explain the premise to me.
I'm going to do that a lot, lads, because I'm not
Jesus
well.
Christ.
Yeah. Nice one.
And every time I talk, if you could cough or press play on YouTube, or just fart down the microphone.
Get that mic right up there.
All right, who wants to go first? Who's got their pitch in hand, ready to tug?
For
something in
fuck's
hand.
sake. I think Callum should go first.
Okay. Alrighty. So, seeing as you don't know much about Batman Beyond, that is actually quite handy for me. So Batman Beyond, very simple premise for those who don't know, is Batman in the future when Bruce Wayne, to be clear.
When Bruce is Bruce Wayne.
Who's Bruce Wayne?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, how much do I need to break this down?
Spoilers.
A Batman. What is it?
Yeah. So there's this guy. So it actually starts in an alley, and trust me, you've never seen this before. Anyway, Bruce is in like he's in his elderly years. And when he's sort of, it doesn't actually specify his age, but he's probably late middle age. He's like 50s or 60s ish. He's still fighting crime despite being, old and out of shape. So to counter that, he's got a bit of a high-tech suit. He goes on he tries to stop a crime, and in doing so, he gets caught out, and he has to threaten to use a gun, basically, to stop these guys. And, having broken, basically, his one rule to pick up, well, I mean, I guess two rules if you separate using a gun and killing. By the way, he goes, oh shit, I'm too old, and quit. That's where we're going to open in the film. The first film is going to be an extended version of the pilot of Batman Beyond, so we get a whole sequence of seeing Bruce in... I'm going to do another trilogy.
Oh.
Make
don't worry, it's going to be quite broad strokes.
A trilogy.
A trilogy, as they shall now all be called forever. That's what DC needs to announce. We're doing another trilogy. We get an opening. Bruce in his 50s, 60s-ish. We see he's old. He's trying to fight crime. We get him to see him. He's trying to do crime. He's gone really off the rails.
Brucey, what are you doing? That's the opposite of what you want to do.
He's very confused.
Getting old. Walking into rooms, forgetting why he's gone in there.
Hold on, is this live action or is it animated?
Live action.
Who's playing Bruce Wayne?
Properly.
Sean Connery.
So, my temptation would be to have it still be Batfleck.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the worst one.
Yes.
He's the worst.
No, but here's what.
Yourself.
No, sir.
But you age him up by about 10 years, just a bit
Yep.
more, right? So then he's playing the 50s Bruce. He's old. We see him struggling. It would be a bit more extended than it was in the show, because obviously we've got film length. But it ultimately comes down to this kidnapping again. He goes in. He gets beaten down because he has a bit of a heart attack. Pulls a gun to stop them. Ultimately saves the hostage, but vows never again. He's done. We get him shutting down the Batcave. There's this shot basically where each light goes off, and you'd see all the iconic areas of the Batcave. You see the Batmobile, you see the dinosaur, the coin, you see the various suitcases, all of them shut down.
Those classic
that computer
suitcases.
goes off.
Yes, he's got a collection of Gucci suitcases.
As in the containers for like Robin's suit and Batman's suit, not like a travelling suitcase. Anyway, 20 years later on, and I don't actually know how practical this is. Michael Keaton's the super old Batman.
Right.
So, because either I reckon you do Batfleck, but then you just age him up more for the two different timelines. I'm kind of tempted to play them with the natural ages though, and have Michael Keaton to come and play Batman in like his 80s.
That's super confusing. I like it.
Right. It could be really confusing, so I don't know. Either way, we have super old Bruce Wayne. He's going around. We're now in super future Gotham. It's gone
Neo
to
Gotham,
shit,
isn't it?
really.
It's
Like,
not known as Gotham.
yeah, it's now Neo Gotham.
Okay.
I was describing it more. But yeah, so it's a mix of very high-tech areas, but also that sort of general poverty that seems to have spread a bit more. You've got this gang called the Jokers with a Z because they're edgy. You know, they're running around, but we're introduced to Terry McGinnis, who's our main hero. I don't actually know who to play him because I can't think of any actors in like their 20s that I like. Actors in their 20s.
I thought you
Google.
were going to put in actors in their 20s that I like.
I almost did.
What about Dylan O'Brien?
Dylan O'Brien. Google. What's he in? I've seen nothing he's in.
He did The Maze Runner.
I didn't watch that. Oh no! Tell you who wanted to be Terry McGinnis? Robbie Amell.
Yeah.
He was actually down for it, so maybe him. But anyway,
I mean, he has all of the charisma
he's
of a stone, but yeah.
he just hasn't had his chance to shine yet. Maybe him. Maybe one of this other people that IMDb has listed for me that are in their 20s.
There you go, listeners. Just go to that website and pick one.
Yeah, just pick whichever suits your pick, catches your fancy.
It's played by your headcanon. And
Your headcanon.
Insert character.
puts on the Batman suit and fights
Your headcanon.
dressed as the
Favorite villain.
that's wow, that's
So, yeah.
amazing.
Nailed it.
Terry McGinnis, bit of a rough family life, doesn't really get on with his dad, but, you know, like, as in, like, core, you know, nuclear family, but hasn't got a great relationship with his dad. He's a fairly good kid, but kind of a troublemaker. Your standard sort of would usually go off to become a Robin. Anyway, ultimately, he finds out that he finds the Batcave through... In the pilot, basically, he gets chased by a group of the Joker's gang. He ends up accidentally outside Wayne Manor, and alongside Bruce, they fight the gang off. He has to help Bruce back into the manor because, you know, Bruce is super old and shouldn't be fighting, and accidentally stumbles upon the Batcave, where he later gets chased out. You could either do that literally, or just any reason basically for him to, you know, he just has to find out that the Batcave is under Wayne Manor. The important thing, however, is that his dad gets killed by Derek Powers, who will go on to become the villain Blight. And so Terry goes, "Shit, my dad's dead. This isn't cool." And that's the line in the film. "Shit, my dad's dead. This isn't cool."
That's some classic
down with
Ben
this.
scripting there.
Yeah, the bad man killed him, so now I must become the Batman. Anyway, so he finds out that Powers is behind it, and so he decides to go to Bruce, going, "You were Batman. You got to help me. You just got to help me." And Bruce is like, "No, I'm not the Batman. Go take this to Barbara Gordon, who's now the police commissioner." As Terry's like, "Fuck that," and he doesn't really have enough evidence to go to the cops, he steals the Batsuit intending to go after Powers on his own. There's the whole sequence in the pilot where basically he's in the factory, Bruce finds out he's stolen the Batsuit and shuts it down, and the guards are rapidly closing in on Terry, and Terry basically goes, "Look, if you don't let me go now, they're gonna kill me." So Bruce, you know, probably because he realises that just letting some kid die is not particularly chill, unfreezes the batsuit. Terry fights through that. Ultimately ends up going off, beating Powers. Powers becomes Blight because basically he's like hiding in this nuclear sub and gets irradiated by, just basically standard vaguely radioactive chemical. Turns him into a sort of glowy skeleton dude who can throw radiated fire. It's pretty chill. But that would be more of the tease that he's alive, rather than, he basically goes down and then he comes back later as a villain in the show, but for this case he would just go down. And you go, oh, he's Blight, is he going to come back? Is he not? Who knows? He's not, is the answer. There's your answer. And film ends with, Terry getting taken on. Bruce is convinced that he might have potential, and he becomes Batman. Second film, I don't really know the greater plot, but it would have Ink as the bad guy. Ink was this sort of shapeshifter lady who could literally, kind of turn into ink. She kind of was this liquid-looking lass. She was, I think it was heat she was really vulnerable to. Or it might be it was either intense heat or it was intense cold that kind of fucks with her. So you get to see Terry using Mr. Freeze's freeze gun. Then the third film is the one that I sort of want to be the most. I kind of want each film to have a different tone. So the first one's a sort of standard, like it's the most. I guess, of the cartoon, because it's basically just a feature-length version of the pilot. The second one would be kind of a bit more thrillery, like I'd kind of want to play into the body horror aspect of Ink, because she's quite creepy for a kid's cartoon, especially when, across episodes, her, like, structural integrity sort of breaks down, and you see her, when you first meet her, she's sort of able to take the shape of quite a saucy looking lady, and then later on she kind of is unable to go beyond this shapeless blob. So play into that, have it be a bit scary, have it be Terry be, a bit more competent, but basically seeing like, oh, this is the first villain he's been up against. Then the third film is the one where it's called like Heritage or Legacy or something, but basically Ra's al Ghul is still alive, but the Lazarus Pit has just dried up.
Oh my gosh.
He can't resurrect anymore, and Ra's decides that with Talia dead, he has no heir, and he can't come back anymore. He realises that the League of Assassins is probably going to fall into disrepair after his death, and so he decides to do the one thing that he never previously succeeded at, and in return punish the man who basically refused to continue his legacy. He decides that as his final act in life, he's going to finally purge Gotham. And so it starts with, in the show, there's this assassin called Curari, who's like the sort of future top League of Assassins assassin. She's like got blue skin and this sword that can just cut through basically anything. So she shows up in town. It would be implied that Terry's run into her before, but this time she's got a few more assassins with her, and they eventually it becomes clear that what this is they were like the sort of advance party, because suddenly a full-scale sort of invasion happens with, all the criminal elements of Neo Gotham start showing up dead. The police can't get anyone, and Bruce and Terry sort of put two and two together that there are very few villains who could be doing this or would be doing this, and that it's probably the League. And eventually Ra's sort of reveals himself probably about 2/3 of the way into the movie, maybe, and just goes like, basically reveals the big plans. I'm going to finally purge Gotham. I'm going to do what you could never do, and I'm going to, as you robbed me of mine, so too shall I rob you of your legacy. Terry basically starts getting this shit beat out of him, and it's a bit like, it's a little bit Dark Knight Rises with the whole villain takes the city, but it's less of an angle of, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and eventually maybe nuke Gotham, and more honing it. The bit of what Bane was doing was like, we give the city back to you. It's really intent on that, but it's not actually for the city. It's like, I'm just going to get rid of all the scum in this city. And at first, people are sort of like, oh, there's a lot of criminals dying. Like, the Joker's gang got wiped out. Is this really so bad? And then it starts being that obviously more and more people, like, it's people who committed white-collar crimes. You know, they may be... And people get a bit more like, oh, okay, well, he did... You know, his manipulation of finance or whatever did fuck with my retirement fund. It's not, and then obviously it goes on until it becomes, well, actually what the League considers purgeable offences are way outside of what most people would say, yeah, you should get assassinated for that. And it's sort of a bit of that, and it's also combined with in Daredevil, it's not the first episode. You know the episode that basically in season 1, which ends in the hallway fight, where it's him just sort of having to do this entire night of fighting?
Yeah.
It's kind of that, where it's, you know, it starts with Terry taking on Curare in the advance party, and he handles it fairly well, but Curare backs off, and then more assassins start showing up, and he's having to defend villains and criminals, and you get to kind of see this as a bit of, you get to see kind of the casting call of villains that he's faced over the years. It'd be a bit without having to do, oh, we have to see Terry fight every one of his villains. You can just see, oh, he saves Spellbinder, he saves there's the kid with the giant robot who I can't actually remember if he had a name, like a villain name. He probably did, but so on and so on. You know, you kind of get to him and go, oh, look, that's them, without having to do a whole film around him fighting them, because some of them really are only worth one TV episode. But then he's ultimately getting worn down, and it starts becoming clearer and clearer that he might not be able to beat them, and Bruce can't help. And one of the big things of Batman Beyond in the show is that the new class of heroes, or at least this is how I always took it, aren't quite up to the level of the heroes of like the Golden Age. Sort of, you know, Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, and there are new versions of those heroes, but it's always a little bit implied that the world's gone downhill since they were there. And while people like Batman Beyond, and there's the new Flash called Danica, who's quite cool, like they made it so she can hear all the older Flashes, like they can talk to her through the Speed Force. And there's this new sort of little Buddhist kid who's the Green Lantern. There's this guy who's the son of Jon Stewart and Shiara. And he's like the new Hawkman, but it's always a bit like there's that big chip on the shoulder of living up to their parents / mentors' legacies, and maybe them not quite reaching it. Like Superman's actually still around in the Beyond universe. He's just really old, and he kind of has to get brought out of retirement. But I guess, you know, Kryptonians age at a different rate or whatever. But anyway, so it's sort of this idea that most of the heroes are dead or retired, and and that maybe, I don't think I'd have the Justice League Beyond exist in this. Like, they wouldn't. You'd maybe get little hints and stuff of, you know, that sort of broader universe that you tend to get in superhero films, where you'd see like a Flash ring in the Batcave, or, you know, you'd see Terry at some point scrolling through his call logs, and you'd maybe see the name, you'd see Clark as a name or whatever, but they don't really feature into it.
Clark?
He's just like, yo, Clark.
Drinks. What was it like when you fought Zod?
Do you want to do some MD?
What was it? What was it like when you got beaten up by my surrogate dad? What was it like when you got exploded by a big nuclear bomb?
Clark, I have a lot of questions, and we're going to sit down and you're going to recount 50 years of superheroing to me.
What was it like when you stood on that mountain and you let the wind blow through your hair like you was in a comic book? What was it like when you literally left the pages of a comic book to become plot armor, and that was a real thing that happened, so that you could stop the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Michael, leave him alone. He's had a lot of years. It's been a lot of years of Superman.
Didn't Superman play the note that started the universe in the first place? That was in canon. He played the very first musical note which started the entire universe.
I'm going to assume it was the
In
first.
one of the old films, he also pulled off a cling film version of his symbol and threw it, and that like wrapped up Zod and his minions. So
that is one of the best Family Guy segues when he does that. It's a minor inconvenience.
So, like, you know, let's maybe not delve too deep into the absurdities of Superman's
maybe that
abilities.
note was the first note of the Richard Donner Superman theme. And then you hear.
Canon now. That's
The Big
canon.
Bang.
He's just really shit at humming.
Yeah.
He's like, no, wait, guys, give me another shot. I think I got it this time. This time.
It's clear as fuck.
Just need to put
Fuck
my
you,
ear
I'm
in.
ill, you motherfuckers. You know normally it would be pitch perfect.
Anyway. So, there aren't really heroes around. Terry's
You
getting
just
the shit
listed
beaten
like
out of
5
him.
of them. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but as in they're not... In the films, like, I don't want him to be really interacting with the League that much. I think, like, at most, he knows they're out there. And he maybe talks to Clark because Bruce introduced them. But there's also the typical Batman thing of, you stay out of Gotham. Like, I've got Gotham. Even when I very clearly don't have Gotham, I've got Gotham, guys.
He's got
Trust
ham.
me. I've got this.
I've got ham.
Anyway, though, what I then want is that as it starts becoming more and more obvious that Terry hasn't got this, he has not got ham, he's got no ham.
He's got a packet of pork scratchings and a hand job on a park bench.
At best. You would go out to some, like, sort of a fairly nice house or whatever, but it should be an older, rougher looking guy. He's probably, at this point, pushing mid-50s maybe. And anyway, he's talking to someone in a chair, and they're on TV is, you know, what's happening in Gotham, and it's the reports. It's, you know, it's like, it doesn't seem like Batman can keep this up much longer. You know, the league's just never ending. Whatever. Blah blah blah. And anyway, this older gentleman basically says to whoever's ever in the show, it's like, you know, it may be, you know, something about, you know, we need to go and help, and I know it's hard for you to help yourself, but maybe don't be a dick about this, Richard. And then he leaves, and basically when it comes to a final, you know, there's a big showdown where Terry he's like fought his way through to whatever sort of base the League have put themselves in. You know, they probably bought a skyscraper or whatever, and you get some maybe raid type shit with Terry having to fight his way up through it. But he's kind of getting the shit kicked out of him, and then you see a League guy coming up behind him, and a rubber bullet just like pings this dude square between the eyes. And someone goes, "You need to learn to watch your back better, kid, if you're going to be Batman." And Red Hood comes out, and he's like a lot older and a bit shittier looking, and the suit's maybe a little more patched together than when he was younger. And then fucking Tim Drake comes out, and they start going up together. And then at some point, like, fucking Damien comes in, and he throws some sort of shade at Raish, going about how, like, you know, no one gets to usurp my father's legacy except me. I would never be I wouldn't be your puppet, or, you know, basically going off about how fuck you, granddad. Because I want Damien to always be a little shit kid, like, even when he's now, I don't know, he must be in his 30s at the time of Batman Beyond. Still want him to be really shitty. And then finally Dick does show up, and he's in, all of them are in costume, changed and adapted because they've obviously grown up. Like Damien's would be kind of a bit close to Batman's suit. Like he obviously kind of wanted to take on the cowl and designed whatever suit it is he's now wearing around that, but never, because he never actually got admitted to, he was never handed the legacy. Also because Damien didn't exist when Batman Beyond was made. And then it's all of the Bat family bar, actually, no, Babs maybe shows up, but still as the Commissioner rather than as Batgirl. But barring Bruce, basically, all of them then just have this big final showdown with Ra's. And then, then they have a nice little... I think it closes out on the Bat family back together, throwing some shit around.
Literally, chucking some feces between them.
Just like acting like completely... They're just chatting
Going
shit.
to Neo Gotham Zoo to pick on a really old Gorilla Grodd.
you get some of the resentment still between Bruce and Dick and all of them, but I think you settle just on a nicely dysfunctional family portrait, and then Bane comes out of nowhere and breaks their backs.
Just it's one little, just in a row.
And he goes, "New trilogy, bitches! It's Bane time."
It's Bane time.
Nah, because in Batman Beyond, Bane's like super old and being exploited for his venom.
I liked that.
So it's not Bane. It doesn't end on Bane time, to be clear. No. To be very clear, it does.
Does it end on, baby, I can play a kiss from the rose on the grave.
That's exactly how it ends. Yes.
It's like Bruce goes, I thought I'd get us something that reminded us of the old days, and like Seal limps out. And did you know?
What? Because they're at the zoo, and Bruce is now old enough that he's allowed to make a pun. He's like, seeing as we're at the Gotham Zoo, I thought I'd show you the seal. And then like Seal comes out.
Oh fuck!
What, no. Then, like Seal's in a cage.
The sea.
That was so bad. So hold on. Okay, to me, this doesn't seem like a film trilogy or quadrilogy or like octology. I'm not sure how many films you'd really expect us to be in there. It seems more like a TV show a la Arrow or Flash. With a distinct arc, and then
the thing for me is more, and like to be honest, you could do it as a TV show. I was thinking more film, just because of the scale. Ink would. The second one would be, so like the first one would be sort of middle scale. The second one would be, you could do actually, aside from the like Ink's CG would have to look really good. She has to look really, really good.
So not like Steppenwolf then.
No, God no, that was. How? They have so much money. It's like the highest budget superhero film of all time. How did they get him so wrong?
I heard someone describe it as like a PS2 villain from like a...
It's really bad, and I was looking at him and going, every time you come on, oh my god. Yeah. Like, I don't expect the best thing from you, because why the fuck was Steppenwolf the villain in the first place?
Right.
Holy Christ.
I can't think of any DC villains to put in this film. Steppenwolf, there we go, I'll do.
You might as well chuck fucking Starro in it.
Here's my fucking issue. There are Darkseid lieutenants who people might know. Or at least DC fans would know, but I had to fucking Google Steppenwolf.
Oh yeah, I had no idea who Steppenwolf was.
Hell is this? Like, if you'd gone Granny Goodness, or Glorious Godfrey, or fucking Caleb,
I'll tell you what they need to do now, though. Based off the back of this incredible Tom King run on Mr. Miracle, we need a dark and gritty Mr. Miracle film that ties in with what's going on with this Justice League film, and you create
that would be
a fucking flawed, funny anti-hero out of scot-free, and that's what brings the DC universe back, because it's a character no one fucking knows. So it will be like the Guardians of the Galaxy of the DCU.
That would be amazing, but given how much Justice League is currently has underperformed in this opening weekend, I'm actually quite fearful for what the hell happens to the franchise.
Well, we're going to take
I
it.
heard. Yeah, it's going to be us. No, I heard that they're going to fuck it off. They're going to fuck off the DC Extended Universe and just have one-off films, like the new Joker film set in the 80s by Scorsese.
Oh, what? And now they're just doing those?
Yeah, they're just going to do one-offs and say that Wonder Woman, that was a one-off by itself, and like the next one's going to be a one-off because the Flash is dead. All the other films are dead in the water.
Well, yeah, like it sounds like
Ezra
Batfleck's
Miller
gonna
was
fucking
actually
leave the Batman.
He's been saying ever since he appeared in Batman v Superman, he's been like back and forth in between.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, it's great to be part of this franchise. Oh, I'm looking for a cool and graceful way to leave. I'm like, who are you?
I've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I mean, anyway, look, we're not getting to a fucking film review.
Anyway,
Callum's doing a film pitch.
There was a lot I liked about Justice League. I would have liked to see Ezra Miller in a Flash film. I think he was good, and I actually liked Cyborg more than I thought I would. That aside,
He said booyah,
Also, actually,
and that made
no.
me happy.
yeah, Truth. I like Truth, and I'm a fan of Justice. It is one of the most wonderfully comic book lines. Like, even Marvel has not managed to get much in that's quite that comic booky.
Yeah.
And like, just Superman.
What are we? Some
Honey,
kind
that's
of
what-
Avengers?
Some kind of a
Fuck
team.
me. Lads, I'm dying. I've got to do my pitch.
Okay, let's do Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you could do it as a TV if you could get the budget. Easily see it as a TV series. But
Well, they throw enough fucking budget at DC's Legends of Tomorrow, so I'm sure they can find budget for
the new
actual
Lord of the
Batman.
Rings TV show's $1 billion.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
So you know,
But
right?
there's
So
a lot,
chuck,
man. Just get
chuck a
fucking, like,
fucking cool couple of mil.
get fucking Amazon to just do it on a massive
Yeah.
scale. Just put a lot of money into the CG.
Okay.
And then you really fuck it up by at the end you have a little teaser where it's actually Joker appearing from the pool of what's it called?
Dionysus. Nice,
Yeah.
Dionysium. Sorry.
that-
Yeah.
You have him like you hear like the laugh and you see a
Yeah,
cave
baby.
with that in at the end of the third film and you're like, or series, and then I actually don't know how you do a follow up to that because I don't know how the fuck Terry and like the old Bat family deals with a fully rejuvenated Joker, but it would be kind of fun to
Yeah,
see.
it'd be hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, this film's called Batman Beyond. Brackets. No, hang on. This film's called Batman Beyond: Ouroboros. So, I'm gonna rip from Callum because that's pretty much how I wanted it to start anyway. It's going to be a cold open of him in the bat suit. He's quite old. You'll get that. Tries to use the gun, has the heart attack. Blah 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 blah. All the shit that Callum said. Then you've got the opening crawl, fucking craziness. The entire soundtrack for this is going to be like synthwave. Primarily as a vehicle for my band, obviously.
Is this actually your pitch? Is just how many?
Can I
times
mention my
album
synthwave
in
band
here?
level? Album out on the 30th of November, which will be way after this comes out. No, it'd be synthwave because cyberpunk, because that's the fucking point. We'll get a very abridged version of how Terry became Batman, but the next kind of big scene we'll see is Bruce training. It'll be like cut to 20 years later. It's 2039. It's Neo Gotham. Blah blah blah. You'll see some establishing shots. You'll see Wayne Manor. You'll go through. You'll go down into the Batcave, and two people are fighting, and Bruce is training Terry, and he starts talking to Terry, and he says, "Now, normally, I'd try and do a voice. I will try and do a voice of old Bruce." But again, I am dying. I don't know what's wrong with me. So, if it's terrible, it's terrible. So, they're like doing some kind of kung fu training-y thing. Terry's in a version of the suit, but because you've got Hollywood has got to be a vehicle for the person, he can't be in the full suit. So he's in like the suit without the cowl. I don't know who's playing Terry McGinnis. Doesn't fucking matter. Whoever.
Zac
Pick,
Efron.
not Zac Efron. Pick.
Charlize Theron.
Sure.
Fuck yeah, spelled Terry with an I.
So they're like
yeah.
so they're like fighting and whatever. They're training. You can see they're training, and Bruce is in like essentially like a human sized mech, like a robotic batsuit. And he starts talking, and he's got almost the same voice as like Batfleck did, because it's all like it's what's the word, distorted through some kind of vocal thing. Anyway, he says, "Circles, Terry. It all revolves around circles. I'd put criminals in Arkham, they'd come back. Friends would die and become reborn. Mantles abandoned and found. It's all circles, even down to the way your body moves. Look at your arms, your parries, your counters. We must be careful that these cycles don't consume us. They consume me, Terry. You must be better, stronger, faster. There's a new crime in Neo Gotham. It needs a new knight to protect it." And then, like, Terry's, like, a smart ass or something. But, yeah, they're fighting. And Bruce gets the upper hand. And he's like, you know, "You must always watch your left," or some fucking bullshit. But, yeah, like, that speech is sort of counterpinning the entirety of the film. I'm going to pull the rabbit out the hat right now. The reason it's called Ouroboros is the snake eats its tail. It's the idea of like life and death being eternal and everything moving in circles, and the whole point is that like Gotham is doomed to keep repeating the mistakes of its past, and all the people that are in that city are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. So this film's all going to be about the past coming back to fuck with the present. So anyway, so you go on this training, you see more training, then you see Terry's high school life and his girlfriend Dana.
Yep, nailed it.
Cool. I'm glad I remembered that. Yeah, you get a lot of like, you know, they do that training session. They're sitting and eating like a fucking sandwich or whatever. Ace the Bat Hound is there because he's adorable, and they're like, he's like petting him, and he's like, you know, they make some comment like Ace doesn't like anyone. He's like, well, he seems to like me enough, and like feeds Ace a bit of the sandwich, and like that's a thing. It's an allegory for Bruce's feelings and the fact that he shut everyone out, but he likes Terry, but he doesn't want to tell him that. Blah 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 blah. You get to understand Terry McGinnis, who he is, his life. One time, you know, his high school, what his interests are, chemistry, criminal psychology, blah 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 blah. One of the kids in high school is wearing a Joker's jacket from the gang, and you see him have the flashback about his dad, and he's like, the Joker's there, bad news, you know, talking to his friend. He has like a best friend. I've forgotten the fucking dude's name. Callum, help me out here. What's the name of his mate?
Oh. No, I'm black. Hold on, I'm just going to Google because I'm completely blanking.
Alright, okay. Well, anyway, it's like his mate is the fat friend from fucking Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, that's the role he plays of incredulous nerd, of like, you know, from childhood, and they're like, oh, fucking, you know, and so it's not a coming of age story, but it's about the past coming to try and ruin the present. So he's caught between like the relationship with his new girlfriend Dana and the other dude, his relationship with his like best friend that he's known since he was like kids, and he's not been the same since his dad died, and that's why Bruce understands him, blah 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 blah. Intermittent with the fact that crime's getting worse and him sort of training. The first act of the film is him training, and he's ready. He's like understanding the suit, and as he's understanding the suit, we're understanding the suit because we're seeing it through Terry's eyes, because that's how the audience experiences it. Terry starts to think he's it, and he starts going out on his own. Bruce catches him one time going out, and he's like, "You're not ready. You got to be careful." He's like, "I'm ready." They have a big fight about it. Blah blah blah. Terry keeps the suit, and like they don't talk for a bit of the film. Bruce is kind of brooding, but he's obviously he's still tracking Terry through the suit and seeing what he's doing. So bad stuff starts happening around Gotham, like really, really like bad stuff. it seems to be internal fighting. There seems to be a new crime family on the rise. Then they're called the Wings, and people are like starting to get really scared about them. I'm so sorry, lads. Like, I'm fucking dying here. Terry finds a few things about the Wings as Batman, and he's trying to sort of track them. He finds a warehouse after fighting a load of goons, and there's like a lock on a shipping container. He tries to hack the lock, and then we get some really cool like Ghost in the Shell cyberpunk shit where like he's tried to remote hack the lock over the web or whatever the Batman Beyond universe use, and he gets completely fucked over, like, and we all see it happen in his head because he's like entered VR to try and do this lock essentially. So the eyes have gone red on the Batsuit, and that's when you know like he's in virtual space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So and then essentially like this avatar is like this god character in this virtual space. It's like, no, you're not getting past that easy, and it looks a little bit like Batgirl, and he's like, that's a weird avatar to pick. Like, that's a classic sort of costume. People normally pick Batman. She's like, yeah, well, it's not all about Batman. And she's like, you know, leave the Wings alone. It's not something that you want to get involved with. And she completely like fucks him, like not in a sexy way, but like completely fucks him over. He can't get into the lock, and he has to fight. Like mentally, she starts trying to take over the suit, and manages to like electrocute him, and then he wakes up outside the building, like in a dumpster, with the cowl off, and he's like, "Fuck! Someone knows who I am. The Wings know who I am." So he doesn't want to tell Bruce that, and Bruce hasn't revealed that he's tracking him yet. So we've got more high school drama. Dana's not really, you know, Dana's wondering where he's going out at night, where he has to keep cancelling dates. The classic, all the tropes. While best friend is trying to struggle with the fact that his best friend who gave him all his time and attention is doing this after school club and this thing with Wayne Manor, that he's this job for Bruce Wayne that he's getting paid for, but he won't tell anyone about, and the fact that he's got a girlfriend. Terry's feeling, more and more on his own and disenfranchised with it all. And, you know, it has a run-in with the Joker's thing. And there's a little bit of redemption here because he busts out his bat moves. Like, he's not wearing the suit, but it's like in the gym or whatever. He's walking past and they're like, hey, kid, hey, fucking emo kid. Rah, 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 and they fight him. Again, the whole time, like, the soundtrack is all, like, really synthy, atmospheric 80s sort of stuff, because I think that really works. You'll get kind of like a retro future sort of thing, hovering skateboards and everything's fucking neon and shit like that. Excuse me to cough again. Anyway, some of the jocks, like after this fight, you see some of the jocks and they're like, it looks like they're swapping steroids, and you realise they're patches of venom. And he doesn't quite understand what venom is, so he starts looking into it. And then when he's out on patrol, and he knows there's going to be a shipment delivered down at the port or the dock, if they still use docks, whatever the future version of docks is. And when he's on his way there, over like the comms on the thing is like, you've got to be. You've got to be careful what you're doing. And Terry's like, fucking hell, what are you doing, Bruce? And Bruce's like, I've been watching you all along, motherfucker. I'm Bruce fucking Wayne. Cool. So anyway, right? He tries to. Then you get backstory that Venom. This is for the audience of anyone who's like not overly familiar with Batman. Venom used to belong, it was synthesized by Bane. Bane was one of my powerful enemies. Guys are using it to become temporarily like Bane was, super strong. Imagine the crime that could happen if this gets out of hand. At the moment, only jocks are using it in very small doses, but if you put a concentrated dose like what is at these docks, then you'll get an army of super soldiers, blah, 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 blah. Mindless thugs. Mindless titans that will rob banks and do all kinds of crazy shit. So Terry goes down to try and like stop these guys, and they're like, who are you? And he's like, are you stupid?
He just dies.
He's
on
just
the
there
floor
like,
and run.
don't you know who I am? I'm sick, is what I am. No, he tries to pull like the don't you know who I am? You must have heard the rumors. I'm Batman, and then you hear from off camera, a similar kind of vocal thing, that like you've heard Bruce and now you've heard Terry's suit, and it just says not quite, and then a batarang flies at him, and it's a red one, and then you see this Batman he's got the cape, but it's like a red and black bat suit, and the eyes are red. Imagine the Thomas Wayne Batman. Only Callum's going to get that, but like, like in a kind of in a more robotic sense, not fully robotic. Like it's still clearly a suit, but it's not like Bruce's level of like bat mech. It's like a kind of, I don't know, like a shit Iron Man suit in the shape of Batman.
A bit more augmented. Than most
yeah.
suits.
It's more armoured. And this guy proceeds to brutally beat the shit out of these guys on the dock, and it looks like they're going to work together. So you've got Red Batman and Batman, Terry McGinnis, fighting these guys, and he's like, "Oh, cool, we did it! Like, I don't know who you are, but I'm really glad for your help." And he's like, "Be careful of strangers in the night," or something like that. And then they fight, and Red Batman kicks the shit out of him. And like gets him on a rooftop and uses the old, bat rope hanging him off a building, and he like pulls him up to his face height and says, "This guy, this figure in red, this Red Batman is like, Terry, what you're doing is dangerous. You need to leave Gotham. You need to give it up." And he's like, "How do you know who I am?" He's like, "Isn't it obvious? I'm Batman." Like uses the same line that Terry used on the criminals, and then he drops him and he lands in some garbage or something. So Terry goes back to Bruce, tells him what's going on. Bruce has no idea what the fuck's going on. That's not Batman. Blah 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 blah. Has a little no, it couldn't be. No, of course not. Moment, and he's like, "What?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter." So
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, it's the Bat Cow. So anyway, so they follow. He follows these clues. Dana's like on the verge of breaking up with him. Best friend is like, "Dude, blah blah blah." He's feeling increasingly on his own. Goes to talk to Bruce about it, and Bruce is like, "This is the path that you've chosen. It's a path if you stand on conviction, you'll walk alone. All you see in this room are trophies, not gifts or something, some kind of line that will mean I've got no friends." So anyway, so you're following these clues, and they're following down to like this building in Gotham, and it's like this penthouse, but everything doesn't seem like quite right, and then they press it, and then there's like this elevator, and it goes all the way down, and Bruce's comms start to like cut out, and he's like, "I don't know what to fucking do now, I'm on my own." So they go down, and it's like a cave. Way under some sort of bat cave. And there is a man standing at the bottom of the cave. Again, another man dressed like Batman, but like old school Batman, not like 60s Batman. "Prepare to fight, old friend."
He's doing the dance.
"This is where your story ends, old chum." Not quite, but yeah, like your classic fucking Batman, whatever. Yeah, the black and grey suit. And they are fighting the shit out of each other, and as the elevator is coming down, on loudspeakers you hear the speech that Bruce gave Terry at the start, like it's been recorded. And Terry's like, "What?" And then this Batman's like, "We've been watching for a long time. who do you think you are to take up the mantle of the Bat? Who do you think you are to meddle with the wings? Who do you think you are to try and change Gotham as you see fit? Do you really it's Alfred, yeah. Do you really feel you have what it takes? Massive fight. This is kind of this Batman's kicking the shit out of Terry. Terry gets a few lucky hits, and he remembers some of the stuff that it would be like some specific thing that Bruce taught him and said. Like, Bruce said that he learned this in his like later years. As I got slower, I learned to be more brutal. You should try doing X, and it would, like break a rib or something. And he breaks a rib on this evil Batman, and fight. Batman kind of gets evil Batman's like put on the floor, and Terry, in a kind of fit of rage, goes to pull the cowl off. He's like, "Who are you?" And he pulls it off, and he's like, "I've seen your face before." And he realizes that it's Dick Grayson.
What?
Yeah, like a 40-year-old Dick Grayson. He's like, "You were the first Robin. What are you doing here? You're the Wings." He's like, "Not just me. Where would Batman be without his Robin?" At which point, there's like an explosion at the side of the cave, and it's the Batmech, and Bruce is inside, like pissed, not drunk.
Terry, where are you?
Come to save you. Yeah, you've got to.
Terry,
I found the whiskey cabinet, and I found the. I found this mech.
I'm fucking
gonna save you.
I'm fucking
Batman. I'm Batman. And it starts going over, and it's like, "You've gone too far this time, Dick." You know, blah 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 blah. They're having a fight. You know, "You abandoned us. You shut us out. You tried to walk the path alone. You had friends. We were here to support you. You did this, and now you're sending a kid in for a crime war that he doesn't understand. You're committing this kid to death. You said no more death. That was your rule. Rah 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 rah." First Jason and now this or something, you know, like fucking like real like low blows. And anyway, some device gets thrown from the corner of the room and like electrocutes the mech and kind of freezes it. But Dick and Bruce have had like this fight, and Dick is kind of almost incapacitated. And then this thing comes out of nowhere, and he looks over to Terry as if like, because Terry's used this before to disable some kind of mech, and he's like, "Did you do this?" And he's like, "No, that wasn't me. That wasn't the suit." And then Dick's like laughing. It's like, "I said, where would I be without my Robin?" And then there's like a Damian Wayne comes down out of somewhere, as well as the Red Batman, as well as a woman in a wheelchair, and they're like, "We're the Wings. We are the Wings of the Bat. We are the Bat family." And he has to fight. He has to fight Damien, and they're having this, you know, the fight of the proteges, the fight of the would-be children, and they're fighting, and Terry manages to get them, and then the Red Batman is like, "Okay, my turn. Let's finish this," because he's the only one kind of left that's. You know, Babs is Oracle. She's in her chair. She's a lot older, but she was the one that was the hacker at the start. Yeah. And so she's like trying to fuck with him in virtual reality as well. So she keeps like turning on the headset, as it were. So like to create fear and to create like this hellscape. And he's like, "This isn't real. This isn't real." And then Terry has to like take off the cowl. And they're like, and then so Red Batman's like, let's take this over. And Bruce opens the mech, and he kind of like this tight, like frail 80-year-old man. He's like, "Jason, no." And this stops Red Batman, and his cowl like like opens up, as opposed to like you being able to rip it off. And they have an argument, and essentially Bruce shut them all out, like when he retired. Like he shut out the Justice League. He said, "You know, Gotham is dead, as is the Batman. Like, there's no saving it now, and actively cut ties with all of them and change the locks on the Batcave and like Wayne Manor, and refused to see any of them and hid away. So they were angry, and then they explained that, you know, they wanted to make sure that Terry could take up the mantle, and that Gotham would be safe again. They don't want to get involved. They've got their own lives. They've got their own thing that they're doing now, but they need to make sure that Gotham has a chance. And then Terry sort of is in the middle of this, and Terry is the rebirth. Terry is this, you know, the circle repeating on itself, the past coming to affect the future, and Terry is that kind of central point in that, and he's the reason. He's the reason that, like, you know, it's all going to be sort of okay. And then they're talking, and it's kind of they've come to this uneasy sort of alliance, and you know, they're talking. So what do we do now? I heard there's a nice place in Bloodhaven that we can, you know, I don't know, get brunch or fucking some bullshit. And then Terry's like, actually, while we're all here, there's a problem I'd like you to help me with. And then the final shot is the Joker's hideout. Jokers with a Z, the gang are there. And then you just have this very cool, like, terrifying the criminals as four Batmen are there. So everywhere they run, it's like you've got nowhere to run, and then they try going somewhere else, and then like Red Batman's like, "Oh, you buddy, you've got nowhere to hide." And then like you've got Dick Grayson as Batman. He's got the cowl off because, like, fuck it, he's Dick Grayson, and he's got like the stick, and he's just like, "You've really got nowhere to run." And then Bruce is there, and he's like, "You remind me of someone I hate." And then they just like kick the shit out of him, and then like Terry will go like, "Babs, lights," and then the lights go, you know, and die, and all the doors lock, and the building goes on lockdown. They're like, "There's no way out. There's no way." And then just in the darkness, you see the eyes of Terry as like the Batman, and you get this terrifying shot, and then the synth wave is kind of kicking off, and you'll get like a synthy version of the Batman themes, and the da 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 boom, and then credits, and then you get like a really cool version of the down down boom boom down down sort of thing while the credits are rolling. And that's my
I'll
film.
be honest, when you said we've been watching for a long time, I thought we were about to see, like, oh my god, the Court of Owls are still going.
Well, that might be film 2, the Neo Owls or something.
Yeah, I was like, just fucking quit, guys. Just take a break.
No, they're always watching, bro. So yeah, that's my pitch. The building and the cave underneath was a link to Bruce lived in a penthouse for a bit when he blew up Wayne Manor, and Nightwing moved there for a bit when he wanted to get away from Bruce. It's like a real thing in the comics. Anyway, so that's my that would be my, and I guess like he makes things up with his girlfriend or whatever in a post credits or something, because you need closure.
They both felt very similar to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed them both. I would watch both of those films, definitely. That trilogy and that film. They seem very similar, but that could be the subject. The problem with the subject, it's there's not really that much you can do with the story. It's Batman Beyond. It's Batman in the future with this Terry McGinnis dude, and you're gonna have to cover pretty much all these beats from the past. You're gonna need Robin in there. You're gonna need Red Hood in there. You're gonna need the Joker.
Well, like you don't have to. Like I could have gone completely left field, but I just felt that because I'm not like I've watched it, but I'm not as obsessed with it as I would be like the other Batman stuff that I've read.
Yeah. And to be fair, in Batman Beyond, like the only actual appearance, I mean, Babs is the police commissioner, but Red Hood makes no appearance. No. Damien doesn't exist because the show
was 10 years
made before Damien. Yeah. Dick is spoken about, but barely. like he gets one or two. There are like there's a handful of references to the fact that he was the first. The main one who shows up is actually Tim, and that was only in the film Return of the Joker. So it's not quite so much in the actual show as we've extrapolated from it.
You both have just sort of the idea you've gone for has been very much of tying the old Batman world in with the new, which you kind of have to do if it's going to be a film. It's going to be a new franchise. You have to have that familiarity. But as much as I loved both of them, I loved Callum's passion and the deep dive and the way that it felt like the entire trilogy kind of felt like one long raid film with just Terry McGinnis putting the costume on and then just fighting non-stop for 3 films. I kind of like that kind of bloody gritty. That's why I thought,
what I forgot to mention, members, all 3 films would actually air in a row as well. So Terry has to do it for like fucking 6 hours
just
straight.
One cut, just one long cut.
It's one really long shot, and they're just like that's actually the main thing behind the casting. We're like, okay, we love what you're doing. You got the look down. Are you able to fight for 6 hours in a row?
You're in. But I think what the one that won it for me won it because of these 3 words: Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah. That's canon. That's actually canon to Batman Beyond.
Is, like,
Ace is his
little mask that he wears.
Ace is his No, he doesn't wear a mask. Ace is his.
Does wear a mask.
He does in the comics, but in Batman Beyond, Ace is just like a big black dog. That's like
he just
is
looks
Bruce's
after
guard
Bruce,
dog.
really.
Yeah, but I've always seen Ace as an allegory for Bruce, as an allegory for like his. Ace was a stray. Ace was essentially an attack dog that was about to be put down, and he was kind of untamable. And then Alfred helped tame him, and then it kind of bonded with Bruce. And if Ace likes you, it's like an allegory for Bruce actually likes you.
So you're saying in your film he doesn't have a mask or a cape?
Yeah, no, he wears a mask and a cape.
Then well done, Callum. Good job.
Yeah, if it helps, mine also features Batcow.
Oh shit!
So, like when all the Robins show up at the end, Batcow also
Stephanie
appears.
Brown and Batcow.
No, fuck spoiler. Spoiler died. There's an extended sequence in which we make very sure that spoiler
Jesus
doesn't
Christ.
appear in
Right,
this
wow,
universe.
Callum. In that case, you double lose on this one. Just some extra loss.
Spoiler caused gang war in Gotham. She doesn't deserve to be in the family.
She had the best intentions, man.
No, she didn't. She had really selfish intentions. She just wanted to go like, oh, I'm going to show Bruce I can be a Robin, and I'll do that by not knowing what I'm doing and starting a gang war in Gotham.
Oh shit, she calls Warzone, didn't she?
Yeah, because she goes like,
fuck.
oh, I'm just going to steal one of Bruce's plans, and I only know like half the details.
Oh, I remember that, yeah. She completely fucked everything up. Right, okay, anyway, yeah. Good job, Mike. Good job, Callum. Better job, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
That's one in the bank there.
Awesome.
So what we're doing next?
Actually, so let's have a little roll. The number is 7.
7. So that is Lovecraft.
Oh shit!
Wow, nice.
Unspecified beyond that.
That's good. Nice and open. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Who has to?
Cthulhu softcore teen drama.
Yes.
Who,
like 90210,
who
but with Cthulhu.
Is there anyone that? How many times have people pitched thus far?
Fuck it. I want to pitch.
I'll host this one.
Ah,
There's
sweet.
much
Okay,
on.
cool. Yeah, that's nice. I get to pitch.
If you're not doing Cthulhu in the OC, then I don't really have much.
Oh yeah.
Riley, here we come. Right back where we started.
It's like OC, but the C stands for Cthulhu.
Exactly.
Right, excellent. Ben, do you want to wrap up so I can go and
do.
cough my guts up?
I'm going to wrap up with a rap.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you all for coming today. I hope you've had fun when you've heard what we said. Oh, fucked it up.
White boys can't rap.
We lasted such
Thank
a
you.
short amount
Thank you
of time.
very much, everybody, for listening. Thank you, our peppers, our delicious little peppers. Thanks for
that's
listening. So tune in next time and keep pitch pleasing. Oh, fucking stupid.
You're just terrible at this, man. Oh.
Bye, everyone.
Like-
Bye, my lovely little peppers.
Oh, now it feels weird.